What's going on, people, and welcome back to the channel. So I thought I'd do a reaction to today's game that finished at Ibrox. Rangers 0, Celtic 0 in the Scottish Cup. Celtic triumphant on penalties by 4 penalties to 2. What a game. What a game in terms of, it wasn't good on quality. Both teams were extremely poor, but, you know, Rangers, their players fought for them, for their fans, and for Rangers as a club. And Celtic, they fought for their club and their fans as well. It was a magnificent performance by Celtic defensively. Yeah, Rangers had a lot of dominance in terms of possession. They did, you know, there's no doubt about it. They had a lot more of the game in terms of territory and stuff. But Celtic, you know, we fought really well. Thought we were outstanding. You know, Arojo, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You know, so much better against Mikey Moore this week in the game compared to the game last week. Mikey Moore wasn't as influential in this game. Arojo is brilliant. You know, he gives it to players and then he takes it as well. He's really, I don't think we should sign him permanently. I think he's brilliant. Simasalo, absolutely brilliant performance again. Comes and claims crosses. You know, he dominates his box. You know, I think he's been outstanding. He really has. So impressed with him. Austin Trusty, again, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Not getting himself stupidly sent off, for example. You know, done really well against Chimiti. You know, Chimiti was poor today, I think, for Rangers. I think that was where Rangers' problems were. I think he showed you how poor he is as a striker, that guy. I think Trusty was brilliant. You know, so many blocks. You know, he was just outstanding. Benjamin Arthur. Again, one mistake in the first half where he let Robbins in, the left-back for Rangers. But again, he was absolutely outstanding. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Liam Scales got himself stupidly booked. He's playing at left-back today because Kieran Tierney was injured. Again, Scales, apart from the send-off, I thought he was outstanding. Absolutely brilliant. I thought he dealt with that left-hand side superbly well. Brilliant defending. You know, really was good from Scales. I thought he was excellent. Really good performance by Scales. Even though I'm not a fan of him, you know, I thought he was really good. The midfield, you know, gave 100%. I thought Atate was excellent again. You know, really dictated the game. You know, I thought he was brilliant. Really was good. We had some players who proved they're not good enough. So, like, I thought Tanecki was really poor again. I thought Yang done really well at tracking back, I will say that. But Tanecki was weak as anything. You know, I thought he didn't fancy it. I think he's weak-minded. I don't think he's good enough, personally. Yeah, he has moments, but, you know, I just don't think he's good enough. Yang, I thought actually was a little bit better out of the two, but still, he's not good enough either. You know, Maeda was a lot better today. Work rate was back to his best. You know, he got the goal, which was unfortunately rolled out for offside, which was the right decision. But overall, I don't think Rangers can complain too much. They tried, you know, but Celtic just got the rub of the green. It was their day. I think it was because, like I said, the game was lacking in quality, to be honest. Like I said, you know, the game started. Rangers definitely were on the up. You know, they were definitely the better team for the first 20 to 25 minutes. You know, in terms of the game, from what I was listening to. You know, really good blocks by Celtic players. You know, outstanding, absolutely brilliant. You know, great defending by Trusty, Scales, Arthur and others. Absolutely brilliant. You know, really was good from Celtic defensively. But it was Celtic who had the first real chance and ended in a goal. It was a set piece. It was sent in. Scales does brilliantly, just like he did against Aberdeen. He flicks it on to the back post, and there was Maeda. What a header. You know, he headers it. Butland pushes it onto the post, but he can't keep it out, and Celtic thought they were 1-0 up. There was a VAR check, unfortunately, for Celtic. Liam Scales was offside, just. You know, his back foot was offside, and it went back to 0-0. Rangers, you know, Celtic definitely came into it as the first half went on, but Rangers were still a threat, like they always were going to be at home and stuff. The second half was all Rangers, to be honest. Celtic, we couldn't get out of our own half. You know, we had to take players off. I thought Forrest made a little bit of a difference, but he just didn't get the ball often enough. Because every time he got it, Robbins, he could take him on, but we just didn't get the ball to him enough, to be honest. You know, but yeah, some really good blocks. You know, Simasalo as well made a decent save. You know, there was one chance where it was cleared off the line, you know, where by Tanecki, where Rangers got the first contact and Tanecki cleared it away. That was really unfortunate for Rangers, to be honest. But Celtic, you know, we really grinded it out, to be honest. Lukumo came on. I thought he was absolutely awful. That guy, Joel Lacuma, I think his name is. Can't pronounce the guy's name, but he was the guy from Lorient. He was absolutely dreadful when he came on. Nowhere near good enough. Thought he was so poor. I thought Cantrara as well. Apart from he was dreadful as well. I've been backing him, but he was so poor today. Really was poor. Easy for Fernandez and Giga at the back. Giga's got mistakes in him. We never put him under any pressure whatsoever. Really was disappointing in an attacking sense from Celtic today. But in terms of defensively, we were excellent. Trusty was immense. Arojo was just brilliant. An absolute force down that right-hand side. Defensively, dealt with Mikey more easily today. Really was a good performance by him. But yeah, it went to extra time. Rangers definitely had the upper hand in extra time, to be honest. They thought they'd scored the goal. It was Fernandez from a corner. But if you look closely, it actually does hit his hand. Unfortunately, again, for Rangers, it was a handball. Celtic, again, not defending the set piece well enough. Set pieces we're dreadful at, I have to be honest. But, yeah, Rangers thought they'd scored, but they didn't. It was a really good decision by VAR. It was a handball, 100%. And it went into the net, but it was ruled out. It went to penalties. James Tavernier came on as well in the extra time. He made a little bit of a difference for Rangers. He was whipping some really good balls into the box, and we were struggling to deal with them, but we dealt with them. In the end, Dane Murray was excellent. Dane Murray came on. I thought he was brilliant. What a challenge. Rangers had a break, and he got back to stop Rangers from scoring. Absolutely brilliant, defended by Dane Murray. He was excellent, when he came on as well. Really was good. We took it to penalties. James Tavernier stepped up for Rangers first. He hit the bar and it went out. Celtic got the advantage. Celtic, they scored all of their penalties. It was, who was it? It was Oxlade-Chamberlain. Then it was Trusty. Then it was Atarte. And then finally it was Cantrara. Cantrara had the winning penalty and he scored it. Rangers. Barami, I think, scored for Rangers. Who else scored? Barami. I think Robbins might have took one as well. I think or was it Nadami? I think he might have taken one, and Simasalo nearly saved it as well. Tavernier missed, and it was Gassama who cost Rangers the game. Gassama blasted his one over the bar. But it was Cantrara who literally scored the penalty. Really good penalty. Celtic won the game. They went into the next round, into the semi-final. Really good result. Obviously, there was the incidents afterwards. The fans were on the pitch. Both fans are an absolute joke. It's the biggest away attendance we've had at an Old Firm game for years, and this is how the fans behave. Just not simply good. Not good enough in the slightest. Rangers fans attacking the Celtic members of Celtic players and Celtic management. Absolutely pathetic. It really was disgraceful. That guy, whoever done that, should be banned for life by Rangers. Absolute joke. Celtic fans, yeah, we won the game, but why are we running onto the pitch? It's ridiculous. Why not just sit in the crowd and celebrate? There's children there from both sets of fans, and people are throwing missiles at each other. It's an absolute joke. It reminded me of the 1980 Cup final between Celtic and Rangers, which was really bad. And obviously, the Rangers-Hibs 2016 Scottish Cup final, that was a disgrace as well. Fans running on the pitch, causing absolute chaos. There's going to be bans. There's going to be bans for fans. We're not going to have that again, I don't think. What an atmosphere. That was one of the best things today, was the atmosphere. Having the Celtic fans back, to a large number. It was brilliant, Rangers fans, obviously, there's more of them. They're at Ibrox. They're going to cause more of a noise. But, Celtic, their fans, it was such a brilliant atmosphere, and yet they go and do that. It's ridiculous. Absolutely shameful, missiles being thrown, objects as well. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Completely disgraceful. I don't understand why pitch invasions happen. This is the reason. The pitch is not for the supporters. That's for the players, and management and stuff. But overall, Celtic got the win. It was a really good result for us. Martin O'Neill, again, another cup competition. He's defeated Rangers. Obviously, we beat them in the other cup earlier this season as well, under O'Neill. Danny Roll will be extremely disappointed, but I don't think he can have any complaints, really. Rangers definitely played their part as well. It could have gone either way, to be fair. Rangers will probably come out and say, oh, we had all the possession and stuff, but they never had the quality to break down Celtic. That was their problem. Celtic didn't have the quality to get out of their attacking third either. You know, it was a game really, like I said, it was lacking on quality. It was a really poor game in terms of quality, but in terms of passion, desire, work rate, teamwork, you know, it was a great advert, you know, in terms of how to play for your team. But next for us is a game against Motherwell on Saturday, I think it is. We have to win that game. Motherwell lost yesterday, so that helps us. I think they lost to Dundee, so they're further back now. We need to win that game. We're at home as well. We have to win that. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, man of the match for me was definitely Austin Trustin. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I thought he was brilliant. He was tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Never got into silly arguments and stuff. You know, dealt with Chimity. You know, thought he was brilliant. So yeah, Celtic, congratulations. Thanks for watching this video. I'll do a reaction to the Motherwell game on Saturday. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.